model in the 1908 instruction manual when the name was just changing from Mechanics Made Easy to Meccano. This version using more easily available standard parts, in the fact that each 12.5 inch section of the frame is a 12.5 inch angle girder. A lot more easy to get hold of than the really long angle girders, and basically it's I measured the bases and the height of the larger Mammoth stationary engines, and without resorting to using perhaps unusual length girders, I decided to go a little bit oversized and use the standard ones, standard 12.5 inch one, because it's just easier and probably cheaper as well. There are I think it's 44 12.5 inch angle girders in that. I'll share a few more detail shortly, but the main reason I'm doing this little snippet of a video is that I've managed to get the winch working, not under steam power yet, but all the string is now attached, and it's Ralph's string, which is a very similar shall we say representation of the original sort of Meccano string. I had to use every scrap. I ordered 10 yards off him. I used that and 2 small hanks of the same cord as well in green, but we'll go on to the winch later. So there you can see it does, spoil the surprise if you like, it does, at least under finger power, which doesn't require a lot of effort, and rechargeable electric drill, pick up a traction engine, but I'll show you that later. It takes a while because the winch is 400 to 1. Anyway, I'll show you a bit more detail. Here we are at the winch. This side is the actual side that will be facing the public when it's on display. You see this gear here, that's for the ratchet and pull later on, which will form a bit of a brake, handbrake if you like, even though it being worm drive at the opposite end forms its own natural brake because you can't reverse. It's a non-reversible worm gear. So anyway, the drive will come in from here, and the board isn't big enough even though I made some rough measurements. I shall have to have some more boarding round to accept the larger steam engines. There will be a frame around this forming a box section, and there'll be another engine on top about here driving a dynamo to drive some lights. So the drive comes in here. I've got an O-ring on there to protect the drive, peel it off a bit, to protect the drive when I'm using the electric drill. That's purely to speed things up a little bit, and it's only a little bit. The winch is about 400 to 1, which is a bit much, but it's a bit interesting, I suppose, see what we can lift. There's plenty of packing. I'll run out of string. I had to buy some wool because the shop stopped selling string locally. Packed that up. As you can see, I've used rail string, but I haven't really got quite enough to give it a good cover in there, so some more added needed. Everything's been oiled. The string runs along here to this sort of roller here. Wouldn't call it a fair lead exactly. This comes up to an 1/2 inch pulley here on the inside of the pulley, and I've left this one to float left and right as needed. This again runs inside, the string runs inside to this pulley and up to this pulley here. All the same construction with these pulley mounts, except for that first one which floats. These don't float, they're just spaced out through washers. Goes over the top of this one along to the one in the middle, which goes underneath, helping to keep it all on the pulleys, which as long as you've got some weight on, that's fine, it should stay in place. It seems to at the moment. And this comes down to here. Sorry for the rather poor camera work and the lighting. And that one, as I say, comes down to this one onto the crane, or jib if you like, and then down to this 1 inch pulley, which halves, I suppose it halves the load. Halves. I'll have to work on that one, it's been a long time. But it reduces the load anyway. And that of course goes back up the other side. It's connected up to the jib there. Now what I've done purely for ease of use, because for transportation the top floor is going to have to come off. So instead of keep on doing string all the time, it would just be a case of undoing this top bolt there, unscrewing and taking off that collar there, pull it out, done. Remove the string, undo, there'll be a few more bolts because I've got to add a few more things yet. Undo all these here at the other end and all four corners, and the top will come off. So there we are for a bit. I'll set the camera up and hopefully we'll show it running. Right, here we go folks. Here's our little rechargeable steam engine. Got a 1-inch pulley with tyre, Meccano, on a, I think it's about 2-inch axle, just locked into the chuck. And so I've got the right way to lift. So we put it on there like that. Make sure it's not catching any of the mountings for the winch. Press the trigger. And you can see it turns quite slowly. As I said before, I'm only doing this to speed things up. And you can see it turning. I hope, if not, I'll just do a bit of a close-up. Right folks, I was going to share a bit more of the route of the string or cable in operation, but it's a bit awkward to do it here with all the other bits and pieces and tools, and as you can hear, axles and parts all over the place. So we're going to try again. I think I'll try and get it the right way around. But this time you'll see it lift the traction engine, and it is slow. See, it's taking up the slack. It's a bit awkward because I've got to keep the eye on the traction engine and the drive because it's only interference fit. And there you go. I do need to add more weight to the hook, because it's not really got enough weight in it to keep the string taut when there's nothing on the hook to bring the hook down. Right then folks, we've done a bit more experimenting. The 1/2 inch pulley on the flywheel of the engine is driving a 1 inch pulley, which in turn is driving a 3 inch pulley, and then that in turn is driving a 1/2 inch pulley on the dynamo. Now I've lost a bit of the steam pressure now. You can see the lights flickering a little. They were better than that. So I'm going to stop the engine, let it build up a bit more steam and see how we get on. Last check was around 4 volts. Folks, it's just starting to blow off. We'll try again. Switch this light out. So much better. Not quite as bright as using batteries, but not too bad. I'll just nip over here and see what we're getting out of it. It's fluctuating quite a bit. Under load does fluctuate. Just under 3, 2.9. Quite steady there at 2.89. So not too bad. I don't know how much lighting up it's going to do. There will be 6 on each floor, 2 by the winch. There's 6. Well, seems to have picked up a bit and settled down now, the engine, and holding 2.9, just under 3 volts, quite steadily. So we'll let it run its course. It's a bit darker now. I'll just put this light back on. You can probably see here I'm adding some more plates because the exhaust is going straight at that. I'm going to check the models that will be the other side of that. All the holes will be filled with bolts to stop the exhaust going through, and all the other shielding is there again to either heat shield, a bit of a heat shield, or to stop oil and exhaust steam going onto the electrics and the pulleys, prevent slipping as much as possible. As you can see folks, it is now driving. Well, you can't see, but you see the lights are on. The first intermediate pulley is now a 1/2 inch and it's struggling to drive the 3 inch pulley. So at speed anyway, you can see it's chugging along quite nicely, and it does build up a decent head of steam. There we go, it's just died again. So we may have to go back to the 1 inch pulley. Right folks, mess got a little bit wet. Now it's reignited at the safety valve end. It's just bubbling along, full pressure, just a little bit over, a little bit of pressure being released from the safety valve, right on the button if you like. That's with the first intermediate pulley 1/2 inch, and it's running nicely, but you can see a slight flicker. But once it gets going, as long as that mess don't get wet, which with the extra guard I'm going to put on, that might help that a bit. I'm going to I think we're going to leave it with the 1/2 inch first intermediate pulley, but at the show take the 1 inch with us, because it seems to be a little bit more sorted, a bit more, I don't know, steady with that 1 inch pulley as a first intermediate pulley. As you can see, I've put a bit more in the way of slightly a bit shielding around to protect the models on display and the cable. I'm going to put a bit more around there, but it's been going well now since the mess picked up, and currently, pardon the pun, 2.84 volts. So you get the full effect. Just a slight shimmer, but it does work, as you can see with I'm loath to go down the gear route to speed things up for the Dynamo, because the extra friction of the gears, and I don't think the engine's going to have much more torque to give, to be honest. But working, well, it'll do. We'll just decide whether we stick with the first intermediate pulley as a 1/2 inch or a 1 inch. There's the engine driving the 1/2 inch pulley on a slightly wonky axle. That comes through to this 3 inch, and then that 3 inch drives a 1 inch, sorry, a 1/2 inch, as you can just see on the Dynamo. Get a bit steamed up, but you get the idea. Worked better than I thought. Initially I thought it was going to be pretty poor, but not too bad. Just a few trials with a few pulleys today, and I may revert back to a 1 inch pulley there. Just seems to drive the whole setup more positively. Here you can see the volts, 2.8584. Going quite nicely. And there's the battery box, which will be kept and used when it's not under steam. I'll put batteries in it, and the battery box will go in there. Slide in. Afternoon everybody. Right, here we go folks, we've got the SP7 connected to the winch. From the flywheel to the drive there, and then this O-ring which appeared from somewhere, just about, well, almost the right size. It's slightly slack, but that's not a bad thing. Should anything go wrong, that will be the first thing to give out in traction, and thus saving any injuries or breakages, because it is quite a powerful winch as long as it'll drive it at 400 to 1. You don't get your fingers caught in the 2 or 3 gears that are, well, not easily get actable, but you could do. The gears are this side, which is the operating side, so should only be me if I'm foolish enough to put my fingers in there. We're fired up, we're oiled up. I say fired up, we're getting fired up, we're oiled up. I've had to use a flexible lighter, a lighter with a flexible hose to get in to there to light it, and I can't really see how high the flame is, so I need to get a little like dental inspection mirror, but there we are. We'll just wait and see first if she drives it, and second if she'll lift a fair way. There you go folks, it needs quite a bit of pressure to go well and to go reasonably fast. It is lifting, and I'll show in a minute, 10 full boxes of Mammoth fuel, solid fuel of course. And a rather heavy hook now. Or it was, on a Meccano pallet. I'll just get up pressure properly because I was a bit too hasty there. Sure, I'm still going. I had the flame a bit low, so it's taking ages to get up steam. But we'll show you the pallet. Right folks, you should see the pallet come into view very shortly. Just trying to regulate the pressure because it's cold in here today because the household boiler's gone pop. Very cold. I think it's taking a while because of that, but there you go, you should just see it just lifting. We're not blowing up on the safety valve yet, and to be honest the pressure's a bit low. So as you can see, it does work, and it works better than I thought. But it's such a pain to see get the flame right, so I must get a mirror. But it does work, we just need a bit of playing around. Safety valve's blowing off. Let's try again. There we go. It keeps pulling it at that speed. That's not too bad at all. Ideally, I would have liked a larger pulley at this end to give more pull than speed. But as it's such low geared, we've got away with that. The trouble, well not the trouble, but the SP7 is only fitted with the one pulley, which is the one machined into the flywheel, because you've got the two eccentrics, slip eccentrics both sides for each piston. There's no room for an ordinary pulley. So that's your only, I won't say drawback as such. It just takes a little bit more thinking about when you're going to drive something. Like I had to raise up these pulleys so the belt would clear the base. I suppose, well, slight disadvantage you might think is that you've got a strong engine with twin cylinders and a large pulley at this end, which means you're losing a little bit of that strong power. Unless you go really high on the a really large pulley up there. Anyway, we're blowing off again. I'll keep turning the gas up until we get it to run nice, and then I'll mark it, see what it's doing. So here we go again. First time this one's been used for several months. But it looks like the belts are all about right. Tension wise, I thought that one might be a bit loose. That one definitely feels a bit loose. Better too loose than too tight. Unless it's that loose it don't grip. Right folks, I was going to share a bit more of the route of the string or cable in operation, but it's a bit awkward to do it here with all the other bits and pieces and tools, and as you can hear, axles and parts all over the place. So we're going to try again. I think I'll try and get it the right way around. But this time you'll see it lift the traction engine, and it is slow. But you see it's taking up the slack. It's a bit awkward because I've got to keep the eye on the traction engine and the drive, because it's only interference fit. And there you go. I do need to add more weight to the hook, because it's not really got enough weight in it to keep the string taut when there's nothing on the hook to bring the hook down.